Picture a colossal cosmic forge, a sprawling and majestic canvas where the ancient past violently and beautifully meets the breathing present. Deep within the absolute darkest reaches of the interstellar void, swirling clouds of primordial dust and freezing gas are not silent tombs, but active, fiery nurseries. Here, the universe is currently giving birth to blazing new suns every single year, forging the very first variable in a grand mathematical equation of life. Imagine the staggering, unfathomable patience required to transform the quiet, rhythmic persistence of simple cells into a mind capable of pondering its own origin. This delicate evolutionary journey spans a temporal scale so immense that it easily outlasts the slow rise and violent collapse of entire planetary mountain ranges. It is a slow, majestic ascent from the churning primordial tides to the profound, intricate architecture of genuine self-awareness. Surprisingly, this sweeping narrative of theoretical alien horizons and distant interstellar communication inevitably forces our gaze to turn deeply inward. Breaking down the complex, sweeping variables of the Drake equation serves as a massive psychological mirror, reflecting the quiet miracle of our own fragile blue and green sanctuary. We stand as the living, breathing proof of a cold cosmos, finally opening its eyes to experience its own breathtaking beauty. If we were to look closer right now, we would find the perfect, peaceful environment to absorb the weight of these absolute cosmic wonders. This quiet room surrounding you is a dedicated sanctuary, completely shielded from the frantic, noisy energy of the waking day. You're safe. As your heavy eyelids close and the physical boundaries of the room begin to softly fade away, your consciousness is free to ascend beyond the weather and the clouds. We begin our grand journey by looking straight upward, lifting our perspective past the thin, protective atmosphere that blankets our sleeping, turning world. High above the atmospheric veil of our tranquil world, the Milky Way operates as a silent, unimaginably vast forge. High above the atmospheric veil of our tranquil world, the Milky Way operates as a silent, unimaginably vast forge. In the deep expanse of the cosmic canvas, creation is not a relic of the ancient past, but a continuous rhythmic event. Our home galaxy is quietly and reliably birthing new stars every single year, adding to its shimmering spiral arms. These luminous arrivals emerge from the darkest, coldest regions of space, hidden within sprawling nebulas that stretch across countless light years. The process is a masterpiece of profound patience and gravity, unfolding in a hushed majesty far beyond the reach of human hearing. Ancient stardust and primeval gas swirl together in a slow, hypnotic cosmic dance that spans millennia. Observing this stellar genesis fundamentally changes our perspective on the motionless night sky. The universe is entirely dynamic, constantly refreshing its magnificent tapestry with brilliant new points of light. This relentless engine of creation ensures that the galaxy remains vibrant, fertile, and ever-evolving across the deepest stretches of time. This steady, hypnotic rhythm of stellar creation forms the foundational anchor of one of humanity's most profound intellectual achievements. When searching for companions scattered across the boundless void, scientists naturally turn to the very first variable of Frank Drake's famous formula. Designated simply as R*, this single elegant letter perfectly captures the creative heartbeat of the entire Milky Way. Calculating the potential emergence of complex life logically begins with counting the fiery cradles where that life might eventually grow. Without the continuous, reliable ignition of these new suns, the cosmic stage would remain perpetually dark, frigid, and entirely devoid of actors. The Drake equation deliberately starts with a concrete astrophysical reality rather than a speculative biological guess. By grounding our ultimate search in the measurable birth rate of stars, we effectively tether our boldest philosophical questions to hard, observable data. It brilliantly transforms the overwhelming, daunting infinity of space into a manageable step-by-step mathematical journey. Every newly ignited star represents a fresh, concrete number plugged directly into the grand calculation of our ultimate cosmic solitude or fellowship. Deep within swirling opaque clouds of interstellar dust and frigid gas, the fundamental forces of nature orchestrate a majestic transformation. These stellar nurseries, known as molecular clouds, are vast reservoirs of raw potential floating quietly through the galactic void. Within their shadowy depths, gravity begins its slow, inexorable work of gently pulling scattered matter together. As invisible tendrils of gravitational force gather microscopic particles, massive cores of density begin to take shape in the darkness. The pressure steadily builds over hundreds of thousands of years, raising the temperature at the center of the collapsing cloud. The surrounding frost and ice vaporize, wrapping the embryonic star in a thick insulating cocoon of thermal energy. Eventually, the crushing weight of the accumulated material triggers a monumental tipping point in the heart of the core. Nuclear fusion violently awakens, fusing hydrogen atoms together and releasing a brilliant shockwave of pure energy. A newborn sun finally ignites, violently tearing away its dusty shroud to announce its arrival to the wider universe. The distances separating our vantage point from these celestial delivery rooms are so vast that they defy human comprehension. Starlight escaping from these chaotic, beautiful nurseries must travel for many thousands of years just to reach our fragile eyes. When we peer through our most powerful telescopes, we are quite literally looking deep into the ancient past. A photon born in the fiery ignition of a new star begins an arduous, silent journey across the interstellar medium. It navigates past rogue planets, slips through remnants of dead supernovas, and crosses the immense empty gulfs between spiral arms. This solitary particle of light carries the precise chemical signature of its birthplace across the yawning abyss. By the time this faint, ancient glimmer finally strikes the lens of an earthly observatory, empires have risen and fallen here below. We are witnessing a cosmic birth that has already been unfolding for millennia before the light ever touched our world. The delay in this visual transmission serves as a humbling reminder of the staggering scale upon which the cosmos operates. Precision and careful observation allow modern astronomers to quantify this seemingly immeasurable process of celestial creation. By surveying the glowing emissions from star-forming regions, scientists estimate that roughly 3 to 7 new stars illuminate our galaxy annually. This conservative number might seem surprisingly low for a swirling metropolis containing hundreds of billions of suns. Yet, this steady, measured pace is perfectly balanced to sustain the Milky Way without exhausting its precious reserves of gas. If the star formation rate were significantly higher, the galaxy would quickly consume its raw materials and burn out prematurely. A lower rate would leave the cosmos stagnant, failing to forge the heavier elements required for rocky planets to form. This delicate equilibrium of 3 to 7 annual births acts as the steady, reliable metronome of our local universe. It is a slow, methodical drip of new light and heat continuously refreshing the oldest corners of the galaxy. This precise calibration of creation is exactly what allows a stable environment where complex chemistry, and eventually biology, can safely take root. Not all stars are born equal in size, temperature, or the brilliant ferocity of their radiant output. The vast majority of these stellar infants are categorized as red dwarfs, quietly taking their place in the cosmic hierarchy. These unassuming stars are much smaller and cooler than our own brightly burning yellow sun. Because of their modest mass, red dwarfs consume their internal hydrogen fuel incredibly slowly and peacefully. While massive blue giants live furiously and die in spectacular supernovas after mere millions of years, red dwarfs endure for trillions. They are the ultimate cosmic marathon runners, hoarding their energy to outlast almost every other structure in the universe. Their dim, crimson glow bathes any orbiting planets in a soft, perpetual twilight, that will remain stable for unfathomable eons. This extreme longevity makes them prime, quiet candidates in the ongoing search for habitable worlds and enduring alien ecosystems. The universe, it appears, favours the slow, steady burn of these red embers over the chaotic flash of their larger siblings. Grasping the true intent of the Drake equation requires stripping away the complex, sensationalized visions of advanced alien empires. The mathematical journey begins simply by asking us to count these glowing embers scattered across the sprawling dark. It is an exercise in fundamental inventory, requiring us to map the basic luminous nodes of our galactic home. Before we can dream of intercepting radio signals or deciphering extraterrestrial languages, we must establish this initial, foundational census. We look at the silent tapestry of the night and attempt to quantify the sheer number of active hearths available. Each counted star represents a localized source of energy, the vital prerequisite for defying the cold entropy of deep space. This straightforward act of tallying suns grounds our wildest speculations in the rigorous discipline of observational astronomy. It forces us to acknowledge that the probability of life is intimately bound to the mechanical, fiery processes of astrophysics. Counting the stars is the first humble step in attempting to read the grand, overarching narrative of the universe. Navigating the existential questions of our place in the cosmos can often induce a sense of overwhelming, profound vertigo. However, knowing the precise birth rate of stars firmly anchors our search for life in an observable, calming reality. It provides a solid, numerical shoreline against the terrifying, boundless ocean of the unknown universe. Instead of floating helplessly in abstract philosophy, we possess a concrete metric derived directly from the laws of thermodynamics and gravity. This hard data transforms the quest for extraterrestrial intelligence from a purely theoretical daydream into a structured scientific discipline. The steady glow of newborn suns offers a comforting predictability amidst the chaotic violence of cosmic collisions and black holes. The ignition of a newborn star is never a solitary event, but rather the dramatic prelude to a much larger symphony. Every single newly minted point of light represents a fresh, untapped opportunity for a complex solar system to unfold. The swirling disk of leftover dust and gas that surrounds the infant sun is pregnant with planetary potential. Within these spinning, turbulent halos, microscopic grains of silica and ice begin to collide, sticking together to form pebbles, then boulders. Over millions of years, these fragments accrete into massive spherical bodies, carving out clear orbital paths through the glowing debris. The birth of a star inherently triggers the architectural construction of distinct, diverse worlds in its immediate vicinity. Some of these emerging planets will be suffocated beneath crushing atmospheres of toxic gas and raging supersonic storms. Others will solidify into barren, cratered rocks, forever locked in the silent, freezing grip of an endless cosmic winter. Yet, around almost every new star, the universe rolls the dice again, setting the stage for the miraculous emergence of an oasis. Stepping outside on a clear, cloudless evening to look upward is an act of profound connection to this ongoing narrative. Gazing at the scattered brilliance of the night sky reminds us that the universe is still actively crafting the foundations for life. We are not living in the fading twilight of a finished cosmos, but right in the middle of its vibrant construction. The soft, twinkling light reaching our eyes is a live broadcast of a galaxy constantly replenishing its potential. Somewhere in the deep, freezing darkness, a cloud of hydrogen is collapsing right now to build tomorrow's warming sun. Countless undetected worlds are slowly cooling, gathering oceans, and preparing the chemical mixtures necessary for biology to take root. This realization shifts our perspective from a feeling of isolated insignificance to a sense of shared, unfolding destiny. The Milky Way is a fertile, breathing entity, perpetually setting the stage for consciousness to awaken and thrive. We are merely early witnesses to a magnificent, ongoing process of creation that will outlast our world by billions of years. Witnessing this magnificent, ongoing process of creation naturally draws our gaze toward the structures that emerge from the stellar fires. Modern observatories, peering through the pristine vacuum of space, have unveiled a profound truth about these distant points of light. We now understand that almost every single star burning in the night sky acts as the gravitational anchor for a sprawling family of planets. For centuries, humanity could only guess whether our own local neighbourhood was an anomaly or a common motif. Revolutionary instruments, lofted beyond our atmosphere, have since detected the faint rhythmic dimming of distant suns caused by orbiting bodies crossing their faces. These subtle shadows prove that planetary companions are not rare cosmic accidents, but the standard architecture of the cosmos. As you let your shoulders drop and your breathing slow, consider the sheer scale of this discovery. Every twinkling light visible to your naked eye likely presides over a hidden retinue of unseen worlds. The silent, sweeping arcs of planets, tracing perfect circles around their suns, form a dizzying, overlapping web of unseen motion stretching across the sky. This astonishing realization directly informs the next crucial variable in our great mathematical quest for cosmic companionship. The second step of the famous formula asks us to determine the specific fraction of stellar hosts that successfully form these planetary systems. Decades ago, this variable was entirely speculative, forcing astronomers to make educated guesses in the freezing dark. Today, the data pours in like a magnificent, unceasing river of light, transforming a theoretical placeholder into a robust, quantifiable fraction. We're no longer wandering blindly, we're precisely measuring the fertility of the surrounding cosmic landscape. It appears that the mechanics of the universe strongly favour the continuous construction of these complex multi-world environments. Determining this fraction effectively narrows down the search grid, focusing our attention on the most promising stellar shores. It confirms that the basic raw materials and structural foundations required for any potential ecosystem are overwhelmingly abundant. This single realization dramatically shifts the odds of a populated universe from a distant dream to a statistical probability. The actual assembly of these orbital families is a slow, elegant ballet of physics playing out over millions of years. Massive swirling disks of cosmic debris, left over from the ignition of a star, gradually flatten and organize into distinct rings. Within these chaotic, dusty halos, microscopic grains gently collide and adhere, beginning a patient journey toward planetary scale. As these nascent bodies grow, their increasing gravitational pull acts like a celestial vacuum, smoothly sweeping their orbital lanes clear of stray material. Jagged, violent collisions eventually give way to a graceful equilibrium as the newly formed worlds cool and settle into their final forms. The chaotic storm of raw stardust is meticulously sculpted into smooth spherical worlds, drifting through the silent dark. Our catalogues of these foreign domains have swelled from a mere handful of unconfirmed blips into a breathtaking, rigorously verified inventory. We now know of thousands of exoplanets drifting quietly through the vastness of the galaxy, each possessing its own unique geological story. This rapidly expanding atlas of alien terrain fundamentally rewrites our understanding of what a planet can truly be. Some of these distant spheres are massive sweltering entities orbiting so perilously close to their suns that their surfaces are oceans of molten iron. Others wander far out in the frigid perpetual twilight of their systems, encased entirely in thick glittering shells of ancient ice. Between these extremes lies a staggering diversity of climates, atmospheres, and strange chemistries waiting to be explored. Each newly confirmed exoplanet adds a distinct vibrating note to the grand symphony of the cosmos. They are no longer abstract concepts, but actual physical places with their own sunrises, weather patterns, and shifting tectonic plates. The sheer variety of these drifting orbs proves that the universe is endlessly creative in its planetary design. From within the same ancient dust rings, vastly different classes of celestial bodies magically take shape side by side. towering gas giants with majestic sweeping rings of pulverized ice gracefully dominate the outer edges of these nascent systems. These immense swirling spheres of hydrogen and helium act as gravitational shepherds, shielding the inner orbits from catastrophic bombardments of stray comets. Closer to the warming fires of the central star, denser materials forge rocky terrestrial worlds with solid crusts and metallic cores. These smaller, harder planets provide the stable, tangible surfaces necessary for complex chemistry to pool and interact over eons. It is the delicate interplay between these heavy, rocky inner spheres and the sweeping outer giants that creates a balanced, enduring system. The architecture of these dual-layered domains demonstrates a brilliant natural symmetry inherent in planetary formation. Gas giants sweep up the volatile outer debris while rocky worlds quietly bake in the inner warmth. This elegant division of labour ensures that solar systems are not just random clusters of rocks, but highly structured dynamic environments. For a long time, the emergence of a structured solar system was thought to be a rare, highly contingent stroke of cosmic luck. However, observing the skies across various infrared spectrums has revealed a completely different, much more comforting reality. Planetary formation seems to be a natural, almost inevitable consequence of a star taking shape in the dark. The same physical forces that ignite the nuclear furnace of a sun inherently demand the creation of an accompanying orbital retinue. The spinning momentum of the collapsing molecular cloud must be conserved, throwing out a wide, fertile disk of material rather than falling entirely into the star. Planets are not an afterthought. They are a fundamental byproduct of stellar birth. The initial phases of these orbital mechanics are often violently unstable, marked by dramatic migrations and world-shattering impacts. Yet, the relentless guiding hand of gravity eventually enforces a profound, enduring peace upon the chaotic swarm. Orbiting bodies slowly settle into stable, predictable gravitational dances that can last for billions of unhurried years. These silent, sweeping arcs trace perfect, invisible pathways through the freezing vacuum, locked in a delicate mathematical balance. The tug and pull of neighbouring planets synchronize into resonant harmonies, preventing them from drifting away or colliding in the dark. This long-term stability is the crucial ingredient required for any planetary surface to foster the slow, delicate crawl of biological evolution. Without this enduring rhythmic peace, a world would be subjected to wildly fluctuating temperatures and catastrophic gravitational tides. The fact that systems naturally seek out and maintain this equilibrium is a testament to the elegant mechanics of the universe. These majestic, timeless dances provide the uninterrupted sanctuary necessary for life to attempt its fragile ascent. The staggering mathematical implications of these relentless discoveries gently wash over anyone who takes the time to look up at the dark. The sheer abundance of planets suggests that the universe actively favours the creation of worlds above all else. Space is not merely a dark, empty void occasionally interrupted by burning spheres of gas, but a teeming ocean of solid shores. If we extrapolate the data gathered by our most advanced telescopes, the total number of planetary bodies in our galactic neighbourhood spirals into the hundreds of billions. This dizzying census means there are more planets scattered throughout the dark than there are individual grains of sand on many beaches. Such an overwhelming surplus of real estate fundamentally shifts the paradigm of our cosmic perspective. The machinery of reality is constantly churning out new landscapes, new atmospheres, and new horizons in every direction we can look. This boundless fertility replaces the terrifying notion of an empty, sterile cosmos with a vision of a crowded, dynamic realm. It is a universe that seems pre-programmed to maximize the number of stages available for the great play of existence. Against this backdrop of infinite variety, our own blue and green oasis suddenly appears in a beautifully humbling new context. We are not the centre of creation, nor are we a unique, unrepeatable miracle of physics. Our own home is simply one gentle harmony among billions of similar overlapping orbital songs playing throughout the vastness. The familiar arrangement of our rocky inner neighbours and outer gas giants is merely one successful variation of a universally applied theme. Other systems might feature massive rocky superspheres, binary suns, or intricate webs of habitable moons, all operating under the exact same physical laws. Recognizing our ordinary nature does not diminish our value. It connects us deeply to the wider thrumming community of the cosmos. As you lie still, feeling the gentle support of the surface beneath you, remember that our world is part of a much larger shared heritage. The comforting gravity pulling you downward is the very same force shaping endless oceans and continents light years away. We are participants in a grand, universal architectural style that repeats itself with endless, beautiful permutations. This profound shift in understanding completely alters the experience of looking upward on a crisp, star-filled night. The velvet darkness between the points of light is no longer an empty, terrifying void devoid of meaning or structure. Recognizing this pervasive cosmic architecture makes the night sky feel wonderfully crowded with silent, waiting potential. Every visible star is now recognized as a radiant beacon marking the center of a hidden, dynamic province. We can look at a familiar constellation and know with absolute scientific certainty that countless unseen horizons are circling those ancient fires. The skies transformed into a densely populated map of uncharted territories, each holding its own secrets and possibilities. This knowledge infuses the quiet beauty of the cosmos with an electric, undeniable sense of anticipation. We're surrounded by billions of unwritten stories, floating silently in the dark just out of our immediate reach. The universe has diligently provided an infinite array of worlds, setting a breathtaking stage for whatever mysteries are yet to be found. To uncover the mysteries set upon this breathtaking stage, we must seek out a very specific, delicate balance of cosmic elements. Amidst the infinite array of worlds cast in shadow and fire, every radiating star generates a distinct thermal halo. This invisible boundary dictates a specific orbital band where the fierce heat of a sun mellows into a gentle, sustaining warmth. Within this precise radius, the ambient temperature rests exactly at the threshold required for liquid oceans to pool and persist. It is an extraordinary scenario, not too searing and not too freezing, painted across millions of miles of empty space. The radiant energy bathing these specific orbits allows molecules to dance and flow, resisting the stiffening grip of absolute zero. Picture the soothing warmth of a perfect sunbeam resting softly on liquid water, multiplied across a planetary scale. This thermal embrace transforms a barren sphere of rock into a dynamic, shifting world of tides, currents, and flowing rivers. Finding such a perfectly heated sanctuary is the vital prerequisite for the complex chemistry that might one day awaken. Identifying the fraction of planets resting securely within these temperate bands represents the third delicate factor in our grand mathematical sequence. While the cosmos is incredibly adept at forging solid spheres, placing them precisely at this ideal distance is a much rarer feat. The great calculation demands that we filter out the hostile extremes to isolate only the most hospitable orbital paths. This crucial variable narrows the overwhelming abundance of the galactic census down to a much more intimate, promising collection of candidates. It shifts our astronomical focus from mere geology to the much deeper, profound pursuit of finding potential ecological habitats. We are searching for worlds that have won the ultimate lottery of orbital mechanics, granted a climate that can sustain liquid chemistry. As you take a slow, deep breath, feel the comforting warmth of the air filling your resting lungs. That same life-giving equilibrium is exactly what astronomers are meticulously calculating when they plug this third fraction into the master formula. It transforms the search from a cold inventory of rocks into a hopeful hunt for sanctuaries capable of harbouring flowing seas. The margins for error in this orbital placement are astonishingly thin, carrying catastrophic consequences for any world that wanders astray. If a planet happens to drift just a fraction too close to its nuclear furnace, the gentle warmth escalates into a punishing, inescapable inferno. The relentless bombardment of solar radiation quickly overwhelms the delicate molecular bonds that hold liquid water together. Oceans that might have teemed with potential are instead violently boiled away, rising as thick, suffocating steam into the upper atmosphere. Eventually, solar winds strip away these vaporized seas entirely, carrying the life-giving moisture out into the silent, unforgiving void. What remains is a desiccated, cracked husk of a planet, baked beneath a perpetually hazy and oppressive sky. These scorched inner worlds serve as a harsh reminder of the intense, destructive power wielded by even the calmest of stars. They are cautionary tales written in cracked rock, demonstrating the extreme fragility of a temperate climate. The line between a thriving water world and a barren, pressurized oven is drawn by mere orbital degrees. Conversely, a fate equally devoid of flowing chemistry awaits those spheres that coalesce on the outer edges of this thermal boundary. Worlds wandering too far from the warming hearth of their star find themselves plunged into a deep, unending cosmic winter. As the radiant energy diminishes across the vast distances, the ambient temperature plummets far below the threshold of fluidity. Any moisture gathered during a planet's chaotic formation is rapidly seized by the cold, freezing solid across the entire surface. These distant outposts become encased in thick, glittering shells of eternal ice, turning them into pale, silent ghosts drifting in the twilight. The molecular dance necessary for biological complexity is frozen in place, locked away in an immobile crystalline prison. Notice the sensation of your own steady heartbeat, a rhythmic engine driving warmth through your resting body. On these frozen outer worlds, the planetary heartbeat has effectively stopped, leaving a monument of frost that can persist for billions of eons. They remain beautiful, sparkling jewels in the dark, but their deep freeze prevents the chaotic, wonderful messiness of evolution from ever taking hold. Between the raging furnaces of the inner orbits and the frozen wastelands of the outer reaches lies the narrowest of sanctuaries. The habitable zone is a precisely defined orbital ring where the physical state of water remains wonderfully, dynamically unbound. It is a rare oasis in the great expanse, a refuge where ice melts and steam condenses back into heavy rain. Within this temperate band, water is allowed to exist in all three of its miraculous states simultaneously. It can carve deep valleys as roaring rivers, drift across the sky as billowing clouds, and cap the poles with glittering glaciers. This constant cyclical movement of moisture is the vital engine that drives weather, shapes continents, and churns minerals into primordial soup. The ability of a liquid solvent to freely flow across a planetary crust facilitates the endless mixing and matching of complex molecules. It is the ultimate cosmic laboratory, provided with a steady, moderate heat source and a circulating medium for chemical experiments. Recognizing the unique privilege of this narrow sanctuary deepens our appreciation for the sheer improbability of a living world. Equipped with this profound understanding of thermal boundaries, human observation has evolved into a highly targeted, methodical quest. Astronomers now patiently hunt through the galactic sprawl specifically for terrestrial rocky spheres, resting precisely within these narrow warming bands. They use incredibly sensitive space telescopes to measure the faint rhythmic dips in starlight that betray a passing world. The goal is to find rocky planets roughly the same size and density as our own, possessing enough gravity to hold onto a thick atmosphere. When such a world is confirmed to be orbiting within the optimal temperate zone, it sparks an electric thrill throughout the scientific community. These prime candidates represent the absolute pinnacle of our search for environments that could potentially mirror our own. Filtering through the noise of towering gas giants and scorched, barren rocks requires an immense amount of dedication and technological precision. Every newly discovered terrestrial sphere in a habitable orbit is carefully catalogued, its mass and distance scrutinized for any sign of promise. This painstaking effort is slowly building a map of potential sanctuaries scattered across the vast, dark ocean of the night. Let the tension slip from your muscles as you reflect on the enduring, protective embrace of a perfectly positioned orbit. Life, in every conceivable form we currently understand, relies entirely on the serene, long-term stability of these orbital sweet spots. A planet cannot simply dip in and out of the habitable zone. It must remain firmly anchored within its warming boundaries for epochs. The slow, staggering ascent from single-celled organisms to complex thinking beings requires billions of years of uninterrupted, moderate conditions. If a planet's orbit is highly elliptical, swinging wildly between freezing winters and boiling summers, any budding ecosystem would be swiftly annihilated. Stability is the silent, unsung hero of biological evolution, providing a safe, consistent theatre for the slow crawl of adaptation. A perfectly circular path through the temperate zone ensures that oceans never boil and continents are never permanently buried beneath glacial sheets. This enduring equilibrium allows deep-sea vents to churn, tides to wash minerals ashore, and early forests to bask in reliable sunlight. It is the steady, unyielding promise of tomorrow's moderate sunrise that permits life to take its boldest evolutionary risks. The architecture of these temperate sanctuaries looks remarkably different depending on the specific nature of the host star casting the light. Around dim, cool red dwarfs, the habitable zone shrinks dramatically, pulling inward much closer to the stellar surface. In these systems, rocky worlds must huddle in tight, rapid orbits just to capture enough warmth to keep their waters from freezing solid. Because these planets orbit in such close proximity to their suns, they are often subjected to intense gravitational locking. One side of the world becomes permanently fixed toward the star, basking in an eternal scorching high noon. The opposite hemisphere faces outward into the deep void, trapped in a frigid, endless night of permanent ice and darkness. Yet, precisely along the twilight terminator, the permanent boundary separating day from night, a cozy, perpetual embrace of liquid water might exist. Fierce, global winds would constantly redistribute the heat from the sunlit side, potentially creating a stable, habitable ring encompassing the entire globe. These strange, beautifully alien systems prove that the universe finds highly creative ways to maintain liquid oases in unexpected places. The definition of a habitable sanctuary expands even further when we look beyond the traditional bounds of starlight and orbital zones. Moons orbiting massive, distant gas giants might also hide incredibly vast, warm oceans, completely disconnected from the warmth of a central sun. These hidden seas are concealed beneath miles of rock-hard, glittering ice, resting far out in the frozen twilight of a solar system. The secret to their hidden warmth lies in the relentless, agonizing gravitational tug-of-war exerted by their massive host planets. As these moons are squeezed and stretched by immense tidal forces, powerful friction is generated deep within their rocky metallic cores. This internal geothermal engine radiates heat upward, melting the underside of the icy crust and creating a pitch-black global ocean. Feel the subtle weight of gravity grounding you to your seat, a gentle reminder of the invisible forces shaping entire worlds. Within these lightless abyssal depths, hydrothermal vents could spew rich minerals and energy directly into the warm, circulating water. It is a stunning revelation that life-sustaining oases might exist in the absolute dark, thriving on gravity rather than the rays of a sun. Exploring the myriad ways that liquid water can be preserved across the cosmos deepens our sense of wonder and profound hope. The existence of these diverse sanctuaries strongly hints that the universe naturally provides shelters uniquely suited for the blossoming of life. Whether suspended in the perfect orbital band or warmed by gravitational friction, the mechanisms for sustaining liquid oceans are remarkably persistent. The cosmos is not just a chaotic scattering of hostile extremes, but a landscape dotted with carefully balanced temperate islands. Every newly discovered Goldilocks planet or warm subsurface moon strengthens the mathematical probability that we're not observing an empty stage. The universe appears to be actively carving out safe harbours, meticulously tuning the dials of heat and gravity to foster complexity. Understanding the prevalence of these gentle oases fundamentally alters how we perceive the silent depths of the night sky. The dark void is peppered with billions of warm, wet worlds, each holding the potential for a completely unique biological story. It is an incredibly comforting thought to realize that the fundamental architecture of reality is highly accommodating to the presence of flowing water. This pervasive presence of flowing water serves as the silent, shimmering stage for a transformation so subtle it often goes unnoticed across the vastness of cosmic time. The transition from scattered, lifeless chemicals to a self-sustaining living organism remains one of nature's quietest and most profound miracles. It is a moment of microscopic transition, where the rigid laws of physics and chemistry give way to the complex, purposeful dance of biology. Within the sheltered warmth of a planetary ocean, a microscopic tremor occurs as simple molecules effortlessly lock into a self-replicating chain for the very first time. This event does not announce itself with a thunderclap or a flash of light, but rather through the elegant, silent assembly of carbon, hydrogen, and nitrogen. It is the definitive threshold where matter stops merely reacting and begins to actively persist, marking the true birth of a living world. The fourth variable in our grand mathematical quest turns its gaze specifically toward this mysterious threshold, asking how often this biological spark actually catches fire on a habitable world. Even when a planet possesses temperate seas and a stable orbit, the leap from mineral to microbe is never a guaranteed outcome of the universe. This fraction represents one of the great remaining unknowns of the cosmos, weighing the probability of an inanimate world suddenly becoming a vibrant, living participant in the galaxy. Scientists analyze this variable by looking at the sheer resilience and adaptability of life as we know it here on our own blue sphere. If life is an inevitable consequence of the right chemistry and energy, then the number of populated worlds in the Milky Way could be staggering. This part of the equation forces us to confront whether we are a rare biological accident or the natural result of a universe that is fundamentally biased toward vitality. Surprisingly, the fundamental building blocks required for this awakening are not confined to the warm, protected surfaces of planets like our own. Simple amino acids, the essential components of all proteins, float abundantly within the frigid, dark clouds of interstellar space. These chemical precursors drift through the silent void on the backs of comets and asteroids, waiting for the chance to seed a hospitable world with the basic ingredients of existence. This interstellar chemistry suggests that the raw materials for life were forged long before the planets themselves were even fully formed. We are finding complex organic molecules in the hearts of nebulae and the icy tails of long-period comets that visit our inner solar system. The universe appears to be preloaded with the necessary software for biology, scattering the seeds of life across the dark in a patient multi-billion-year sowing. If we were to look closer at the ancient history of our own world, we would see a landscape of violent energy and raw, untapped potential. Fierce lightning strikes and the churning, mineral-rich heat of deep-sea hydrothermal vents provided the necessary gentle nudges to animate stagnant matter into complex chains. These high-energy environments acted as the cosmic crucibles where simple molecules were forged into the first self-replicating strands of life. Deep-sea vents, in particular, offered a stable and nutrient-dense sanctuary, far beneath the turbulent, radiation-soaked surface of the early Earth. Here, the interface between volcanic heat and cold seawater created the perfect chemical gradients for the first metabolic processes to emerge. It was in these dark, abyssal cradles that the spark of life likely found its first enduring foothold against the cold entropy of the void. As you take a slow, deep breath, feel the gentle rise and fall of your chest, a rhythmic reminder of the same energy that once stirred the primitive seas. This internal motion is a direct legacy of those first animated molecules that learned to harness the energy of their environment. You are a living testament to a process that began in the dark, churning depths of a world that had only just begun to cool. This cosmic structure seems naturally inclined to weave basic, elemental threads into the complex and beautiful tapestry of life. Everywhere we look, from the hearts of dying stars to the depths of planetary oceans, the universe demonstrates a persistent tendency towards self-organization. It is as if the laws of reality themselves are subtly biased toward the emergence of complexity, pushing carbon and hydrogen toward the inevitable threshold of vitality. Gravity pulls dust into stars, stars forge the elements of the periodic table, and those elements naturally seek out more stable, complex arrangements. Life is not a defiance of the laws of physics, but their most intricate and sophisticated expression. This realization suggests that the universe is not a sterile machine, but a fertile garden that is constantly attempting to bloom wherever the environment allows. Once the spark of life is lit, the pace of change often slows to a crawl that spans entire unhurried geological epochs. Single-celled organisms likely dominated our planet's oceans for billions of years, existing in a state of quiet, microscopic persistence before more complex forms appeared. During this vast stretch of time, these resilient microbes slowly altered the chemistry of the entire world, preparing the atmosphere for the future. These ancient cells were the silent architects of the modern world, releasing oxygen and building the foundational structures of the global ecosystem. They survived catastrophic asteroid impacts and massive volcanic eruptions, proving that once life takes hold, it is incredibly difficult to extinguish. Their long reign reminds us that the journey toward complexity is one of immense patience and steady, incremental progress. Biology might very well be a common recurring phenomenon that blooms silently wherever liquid water and a steady source of energy mix. This realization suggests that life is not a freak occurrence, but a standard, predictable outcome of specific chemical environments. If the conditions are right, the microscopic tremor of molecules locking together into self-replicating chains becomes an almost inevitable event across the galaxy. This perspective transforms the way we look at the billions of exoplanets we have discovered in the habitable zones of distant stars. We're no longer looking for a miracle, but for the natural result of a cosmic process that has had billions of years to perfect itself. The silence of the universe may not be due to a lack of life, but rather to the fact that it is blooming in quiet, microscopic ways we have yet to detect. Driven by this hopeful logic, scientists look toward the red sands of Mars and the icy crust of Europa in search of subtle traces of life. They hunt for ancient fossils buried in dry Martian lake beds, or the metabolic whispers of microbes slumbering within dark subsurface seas. Each mission is a patient inquiry into whether the biological spark has ignited more than once within our own local solar neighbourhood. Finding even a single microscopic organism on another world would be the most significant discovery in the history of human thought. It would prove that the spark of life is a universal constant rather than a local fluke of the Earth. Such a discovery would confirm that we live in a galaxy teeming with biological potential, waiting only for the right moment to be revealed. Deep within the structure of even the simplest bacteria, we find an elegant microscopic symmetry that commands a sense of profound awe. These tiny vessels of life are not mere accidents, but highly efficient, beautifully organized systems capable of extraordinary resilience and precision. The intricate machinery hidden inside a single cell is more complex and harmonious than any machine ever built by human hands. From the spinning motors of flagella to the perfect duplication of genetic code, every part of a cell works in a seamless, coordinated dance. This microscopic beauty exists on every world where the spark has caught, regardless of what the larger organisms might look like. It is a fundamental aesthetic of the universe, proving that order and harmony can emerge from the most basic building blocks of reality. The precise moment when dead matter awakens to experience its surroundings changes the destiny of a planetary system forever. A world that can feel, react, and replicate is no longer just a ball of rock and gas drifting blindly through the void. It becomes a living participant in the cosmic story, a place where the universe has finally opened its eyes to witness its own unfolding beauty. This biological awakening transforms a planet into a dynamic, evolving entity that can actively shape its own future. As life spreads across the surface, it creates new possibilities for complexity, intelligence, and eventually, the ability to wonder about its own origins. The spark of life is the ultimate turning point, the moment when the cosmos begins the long, beautiful journey towards self-awareness. This long, beautiful journey towards self-awareness is a process defined by a temporal scale that dwarfs the rise and fall of entire planetary mountain ranges. Evolving from the quiet, rhythmic persistence of simple, single-celled organisms to complex beings capable of pondering the distant stars requires an immense amount of time and an almost infinite well of cosmic patience. It is a slow, methodical refinement that occurs across billions of unhurried years, where each generation builds invisibly upon the microscopic successes of the last, slowly weaving the foundations of thought. The transition does not happen through sudden, dramatic leaps, but through the accumulation of nearly imperceptible changes that eventually coalesce into a profound and irreversible transformation. During these vast stretches of time, the planet itself undergoes radical changes, providing the shifting environments that challenge life to reach for ever higher levels of complexity. This immense duration serves as a natural filter, ensuring that the emergence of a truly contemplative mind is a rare and deeply earned milestone in the history of any world. When we look at the stars tonight, we are witnessing the end result of a biological endurance race that started in the dark, primordial waters of a world that was still forming. The patience of the universe is mirrored in the steady, unrelenting progress of evolution, which refuses to be rushed by the fleeting lifespans of individual creatures. It is a majestic, multi-billion-year narrative that reminds us how precious and hard-won our current ability to wonder truly is in the face of the deep void. The fifth variable in our grand mathematical search turns its focus toward this specific probabilistic threshold, inquiring into the frequency with which life actually develops the capacity for self-reflection. While we have established that the universe is a fertile garden for stars, planets, and even basic biology, the leap into the realm of the mind represents a significantly more complex hurdle. This fraction, known in the master formula as the probability of intelligence, attempts to quantify how many populated worlds eventually produce a species that can ask why they exist. Determining this value is perhaps one of the most challenging aspects of our cosmic inquiry, because we currently have only a single, local example of its success to study. We must wonder if the rise of intelligence is a biological inevitability that follows naturally from the spark of life, or if it is a freak occurrence that requires a specific and unlikely set of conditions. This part of the calculation shifts our perspective from the chemistry of the oceans to the complex architecture of the neural networks that begin to spark in the dark. As you lie in a state of quiet repose, consider the staggering complexity of the thoughts and memories currently drifting through your own mind. This internal theatre is the very phenomenon that the equation seeks to measure across the light years of the Milky Way, searching for other echoes of self-awareness. Every world that crosses this threshold becomes a beacon of consciousness, transforming the silent physics of its solar system into a place of active, conscious inquiry. Surprisingly, the true power of intelligence lies in its ability to liberate a species from the rigid, unyielding cycles of pure ancestral instinct. While instinct provides a reliable set of pre-programmed responses for survival, intelligence allows a mind to navigate its world through the deliberate use of abstract thought and creative problem-solving. It is the fundamental difference between a creature that simply reacts to a shadow and one that understands the celestial mechanics behind the casting of that shadow. Imagine a primitive being standing on a silent ancient shoreline, watching the golden orb of its sun dip slowly below the horizon for the first time with true intent. Instead of simply seeking shelter for the night, this being begins to wonder about the nature of the light and the inevitability of the darkness that follows. This deliberate, mindful gaze marks the moment when the environment is no longer just a place to survive, but a puzzle to be solved and a story to be told. This shift into cognitive navigation allows a species to adapt to new environments at a speed that vastly outpaces the slow grind of genetic mutation. Thought becomes a tool as powerful as any claw or wing, enabling a being to envision a future that does not yet exist and take active steps to bring it into reality. It is a revolutionary awakening that turns a passive inhabitant of the cosmos into an active architect of its own unique destiny. The path paved toward the construction of a complex and capable brain is one that was built through millions of tiny, fortunate evolutionary adaptations occurring in sequence. Each minor refinement in sensory processing, such as the sharpening of a lens or the tuning of an ear, provided a small but vital piece of the cognitive puzzle. These incremental improvements in how a creature perceives its surroundings eventually reached a critical mass, allowing for the emergence of a centralized processing center. This biological architecture did not arise from a single grand design, but from a series of opportunistic shifts that favored better coordination and memory. The development of social bonds, the use of basic tools, and the refinement of vocalizations all acted as powerful catalysts for the growth of neural density and complexity. Over countless generations, the brain became a more efficient mirror of the world around it, capable of storing vast amounts of information and simulating potential outcomes. Feel the subtle coolness of the air as it brushes against your skin, a sensation that is immediately processed and understood by your own intricate neural networks. This seamless integration of sensory data is the result of those millions of fortunate events that allowed your ancestors to survive and flourish in a demanding world. Your mind is a living map of these ancient successes, a masterpiece of biological engineering that was forged in the demanding fires of natural selection. If we were to look closer at the diverse tapestry of life on our own planet, we would discover that intelligence takes many beautiful and varied forms beyond the human experience. The liquid intelligence of an octopus, which processes information through a decentralized network of neurons in its arms, offers a fascinating glimpse into an entirely alien way of being. Similarly, the deep rhythmic songs of whales and the complex social problem-solving of crows remind us that the mind is a versatile and recurring solution to the challenges of existence. These diverse expressions of intellect prove that the universe is not limited to a single template when it comes to the development of self-awareness. Each species has sculpted its own unique version of a mind to navigate the specific demands of its habitat, whether in the crushing depths of the ocean or the thin air of the forest canopy. This biological variety suggests that if we were to find intelligence on a distant world, it might be structured in a way that challenges our very definition of what it means to think. Recognizing the validity of these other minds encourages a sense of profound humility and expands our understanding of the cosmic community. We are not the only ones participating in the great dance of awareness, even within the confines of our own local biosphere. The presence of such varied intelligence nearby hints that the galaxy may be home to an incredible spectrum of sentient beings, each perceiving the universe through their own unique and valid lens. An alien intellect, forged under the light of a different sun and the gravity of a distant world, might process reality in ways that are entirely peaceful and yet utterly incomprehensible to us. Their logic might be based on communal resonance rather than individual competition, leading to a society that functions with a harmony we have yet to achieve. Such a mind might view time, space, and causality through a sensory apparatus that is tuned to frequencies and patterns we cannot even imagine. This potential for radical difference suggests that our first contact with another intelligence might not be a meeting of identical minds, but a collision of fundamentally different ways of experiencing existence. They might communicate through shifting colours, rhythmic vibrations, or complex chemical gradients that bypass the need for spoken language entirely. To them, our reliance on linear speech and technology might seem like a primitive and limited way of interacting with the grand tapestry of the cosmos. As your breathing remains steady and rhythmic, reflect on the possibility that the universe is currently filled with thoughts and ideas that operate on a level far beyond our current comprehension. The silence of the sky might not be an absence of activity, but rather a reflection of our inability to perceive the complex, peaceful dialogues occurring between distant minds. It is a humbling thought to realize that we may be just one specific frequency in a much larger, multi-dimensional chorus of awareness. The emergence of consciousness is the transformative event that turns a blind, mechanical universe into a place that can finally admire its own staggering beauty. Before the first mind flickered to life, the nebulae glowed and the planets orbited in a profound, unobserved silence. There was no one to witness the majestic spiral of a galaxy or the delicate symmetry of a crystal, as the cosmos operated solely through the cold interactions of matter and energy. With the arrival of awareness, the universe effectively opened its eyes, allowing the light of distant stars to be perceived, interpreted, and appreciated. Every thought, poem, and scientific discovery is a way for the cosmos to reflect upon itself and the laws that govern its existence. We are the specific part of the universe that has developed the capacity to look back at the grand design and find meaning in the chaos. This realization grants our existence a deep cosmic purpose that transcends our individual lives and temporary struggles. We serve as the sensory organs of the galaxy, the conduits through which the raw data of reality is transformed into the rich experience of wonder and awe. By simply observing the night sky, we are fulfilling a role that the universe has spent billions of years preparing us to play. Survival pressures on a developing world act as a relentless and exacting forge, gently sculpting the mind by rewarding the capacity for complex problem-solving and deep social cooperation. In an environment of limited resources and ever-present dangers, those beings who could think ahead and work together were the ones who passed on their traits to the next generation. The need to understand the movements of the seasons, the behavior of prey, and the intentions of neighbors drove the steady expansion of cognitive ability. Social cooperation in particular acted as a powerful evolutionary engine, requiring the development of empathy, communication, and shared memory. A lone individual might struggle to survive, but a group that could share knowledge and coordinate their efforts became a dominant force on their home planet. This communal intelligence allowed for the creation of culture and the preservation of information across the boundaries of time and death. The grounding sensation of the surface beneath you is a physical connection to the world that once demanded so much from your ancestors. Your very ability to feel safe and relaxed in this moment is a hard-won luxury provided by thousands of years of human cooperation and ingenuity. We are the descendants of the dreamers and the collaborators, carrying within us the mental tools that allowed our species to rise above the struggle for mere existence. It is profoundly humbling to realize how rare a truly contemplative species might actually be within the vast, sprawling architecture of the Milky Way. While the universe is clearly abundant in the raw materials of life, the specific sequence of events required to produce a mind that can ponder its own origin is an exquisite rarity. Countless worlds might be teeming with microbial life or primitive forests, yet never produce a single being who looks at the stars and wonders about the deep past. This scarcity makes our own presence on this blue world feel like a precious and delicate flame burning in a vast, dark cathedral. We represent a local success in a cosmic game of chance where the odds are stacked heavily against the emergence of high-level awareness. Recognizing this rarity should instill in us a renewed sense of responsibility for the preservation and nurturing of the intelligence we possess. every moment of self-reflection we experience is a statistical anomaly that has defied the cold, indifferent odds of the cosmos. We are the few who have been granted the privilege of understanding the master plan and participating in its ongoing discovery. This realization doesn't make us superior to the rest of the universe, but rather makes us more deeply connected to the preciousness of every thinking being. As you prepare to return to your world, carry with you the quiet confidence of a being who knows their place in the grand design. You are a part of a slow, magnificent ascent that has brought awareness to a silent sky, turning the dark void into a home filled with thought and wonder. The journey of intelligence is your journey, a timeless path that continues with every breath and every idea you hold. This timeless path of discovery leads eventually to a moment of supreme technological maturity, where a species ceases to be a mere observer and begins to act as an active participant. Building the tools necessary to whisper across the silent, daunting gulfs of space represents the sixth critical milestone of our master formula, serving as a bridge between the solitary mind and the potential for a grand cosmic conversation. It is the definitive transition from a mind that simply wonders about the distant light to one that can generate its own radiant messages, projecting its history and its deepest hopes into the immense and waiting void. This milestone signifies that the biological evolution of a world has finally developed the mechanical hands and the mathematical brain required to manipulate the fundamental energies of the universe with precision and grace. We're no longer just looking at the stage from the audience. We're stepping onto it with the deliberate intent to speak our first lines to whatever unknown entities might be listening. This stage of the equation acknowledges that a planet has successfully survived its long, turbulent infancy and is now reaching for a destiny that exists far beyond its own thin, protective atmosphere. It is a profound and quiet awakening that turns a local life form into a potential citizen of the wider galaxy, moving beyond its planetary cradle. This milestone is a celebration of our ability to transform abstract thought into a physical signal that can outlast the very civilizations that originally created it. By crafting these tools, we declare to the abyss that the universe is no longer just a place we inhabit, but a medium through which our presence can be known and remembered. Invention of technology capable of releasing signals into the vast cosmic ocean requires an unprecedented mastery over the entire electromagnetic spectrum. A civilization must learn to compress and project energy with such precision that its signature remains detectable across the crushing, light-year distances of interstellar space. This leap signifies the transformation of a world into a glowing beacon that pierces the natural, chaotic static of the galaxy with organized, purposeful information that reflects its own unique intelligence. To send a message across the abyss, a species must harness the very fabric of reality, bending photons and radio waves to its collective and determined will. It involves creating transmitters of staggering power and receivers of exquisite sensitivity, tools that can bridge the gaps that once seemed impassable to our primitive ancestors. This technological prowess is the signature of a society that has moved beyond its internal conflicts to focus its resources on a truly universal and shared goal. The cosmic ocean is vast and unforgiving, yet we are learning to build the ships of light that can traverse its depths without moving an inch from our home. It is the ultimate expression of a mind that refuses to be limited by the horizon of its own world, looking instead toward the infinite. Mastery of these signals is the first step in ensuring that our story does not end at the edge of our atmosphere. Surprisingly, humanity began its own journey as a celestial broadcaster, without any deliberate intent to be heard by the wider universe or its mysterious inhabitants. For just over 100 years, our primitive radio and television transmissions have been leaking away from our planet in every direction, a byproduct of our own internal communication. We have unknowingly surrounded our world with a growing halo of entertainment, news, and atmospheric static that travels forever through the dark, unhindered by the passage of time. These accidental signals form a thin, expanding shell of human culture that is currently washing over the nearest star systems and their orbiting planets. If there are eyes looking our way from a neighbouring sun, they might be witnessing the first flickering, grainy images of our world, captured in the radio waves of a century ago. This unintentional broadcast serves as a cosmic footprint, a trace of our presence that preceded our own awareness of the potential galactic audience. It is a humbling thought that our first impression on the cosmos was made not by a grand manifesto, but by the casual, unscripted whispers of our daily lives. We are already known to the dark, even if we're not yet ready to receive an answer from those who might be watching us. This leakage is a testament to our technological adolescence, a time when we were shouting into the night before we even knew there was anyone there to hear us. These invisible spheres of communication expand outward at the absolute speed of light, touching distant stars and ancient nebulae long after the original signals were sent. Every broadcast of our history is currently travelling through the abyss, a ghostly echo of our existence that never truly fades away into the cosmic background. As these ripples move through the interstellar medium, they carry the chemical and cultural signatures of our world to any entity capable of intercepting them. Notice the stillness of your own form now, contrasting with the frantic, invisible energy currently racing away from Earth in all directions through the vacuum. Your resting body is the quiet centre of an expanding storm of information that has already reached several neighbouring suns and is now speeding toward the more distant clusters. This sphere represents the reach of our technological influence, a boundary that is constantly growing and encompassing new volumes of space with every passing second. It is the most tangible evidence of our presence in the universe, an ever-widening circle of human influence that defies the silence. We are expanding our presence through the void at the fastest speed allowed by the laws of physics, a silent and persistent migration of data. Even if we were to vanish tomorrow, these radiant spheres would continue their journey, carrying the record of our existence to the very ends of the galaxy. Technological life must eventually make a conscious, collective choice to reach out if it ever hopes to find true companions in the cold and silent dark of the cosmos. While the unintentional leakage of radio waves might broadcast our presence to the immediate neighbourhood, a truly deliberate signal requires a focused commitment of immense energy, planetary resources, and unwavering purpose. It is a bold declaration of our existence, a hopeful shout into the abyss that asks if anyone else is listening and if they might be willing to reply across the void. Making this choice requires a society to overcome its natural ancestral fears of the unknown and the desire to remain hidden in the perceived safety of its own local solar system. It is a courageous act of trust, based on the optimistic assumption that the benefits of cosmic contact far outweigh the hypothetical risks of being discovered by an external force. Reaching out is the signature of a mature civilization that has found internal stability and is now looking for a deeper meaning in its place among the distant star clusters. This deliberate effort to communicate serves as the bridge between being a solitary, passive observer of the heavens and becoming an active participant in a much larger, potentially galactic narrative. It is the moment we stop waiting for a miracle to arrive from the sky and begin to create one through our own scientific agency and collective will. By choosing to speak, we transform our world from a quiet island of life into a resonant node within the vast, interconnected network of the universe. Focused radio beams and high-powered lasers offer incredibly efficient and quiet ways to bridge the immense, daunting distances between the neighbouring star systems. These methods allow a message to be tightly packed into a narrow frequency and aim toward promising solar systems with a surgical precision that minimises any significant signal loss over the years. By concentrating light into a single, coherent needle of energy, a civilization can communicate its legacy across the entire width of the galactic disk without wasting its precious planetary resources. This precision signalling is like whispering into the ear of a distant friend across a crowded and noisy room, bypassing the chaotic static of the interstellar medium. It requires a level of engineering that can account for the complex relative motions of stars and the subtle, gravitational warping of the surrounding space-time fabric. Laser communication, in particular, offers the potential for incredibly high data rates, allowing entire libraries of human knowledge to be transmitted in a single, brilliant burst of coherent light. These technological advancements make the vastness of the galaxy feel smaller and more interconnected than it ever has before in our long history. We're developing the ability to speak clearly to the stars, ensuring that our voice remains crisp and intelligible even after travelling for hundreds or thousands of years through the dark. This mastery of the beam is the final tool we need to turn our solitary world into a cosmic broadcaster, ready to engage with the unknown. The transition from being local toolmakers to becoming galactic broadcasters marks a monumental and irreversible shift in the timeline of any developing and intelligent species. It represents the specific point where a culture moves beyond the immediate struggle for survival on its homeworld and looks toward its rightful place in the wider interstellar community. As your muscles relax and your breathing deepens into a steady rhythm, reflect on the magnitude of this leap, from sharpening stones in the dirt to manipulating the fundamental fabric of light. This shift indicates that a species has mastered its environment and its own internal social structures enough to focus on a goal that spans light years and many generations of its people. It is a rite of passage for an entire civilization, a sign that it has achieved a level of stability and vision that transcends its own biological and planetary limitations. We are in the midst of this transformation right now, moving from the isolation of our planetary cradle into the vast connected reality of a communicating and sentient galaxy. This transition changes the very nature of what it means to be a successful species, as we begin to measure progress by our ability to connect rather than our ability to conquer. It is a beautiful and daunting evolution of our collective identity, signifying our readiness to join the great conversation that may already be happening around us. By becoming broadcasters, we take the final step toward maturity, leaving behind the silence of our youth for a future filled with the voices of the stars. We listen with a patient and unwavering focus using giant radio telescopes that scan the horizon for the slightest hint of an artificial rhythm in the cosmic background. These massive metallic ears are tuned to the silent, frigid depths of space, waiting for a deliberate mathematical hello to emerge from the random chaotic noise of the natural universe. Every day we sift through incredible amounts of digital static, searching for a sequence of prime numbers or a geometric pattern that could only be the work of a distant and organized mind. This process of listening is an act of supreme and enduring optimism, a quiet belief that we're not the only ones attempting to bridge the gap between the stars. It requires a level of technological and mathematical sophistication that can distinguish between the natural, rhythmic pulses of distant pulsars and the intentional signals of a distant and advanced culture. We are like ancient sailors listening for the faint sound of a buoy in a thick galactic fog, hoping to find a shoreline that is not our own. This patient surveillance is our way of acknowledging that the universe might be filled with voices that are simply waiting for a receptive and attentive ear to hear them. It is a peaceful and persistent vigil kept by the most advanced instruments we have ever built, watching the sky for a sign of companionship. Every hour spent listening is a testament to our enduring hope that the silence of the space is merely a temporary state of affairs in our long history. Creating such sophisticated communication technology requires a species to deeply understand and harness the unyielding laws of physics that govern the behavior of energy and matter throughout the universe. It is not enough to simply possess the desire to speak to the stars. One must master the complex mathematics of wave propagation and the intricate hidden secrets of the atom and the electron. This mastery proves that the species has successfully deciphered the rules of the cosmic game and is ready to participate as an equal on a truly galactic and interstellar stage. To build a transmitter capable of being heard across the staggering distances of the Milky Way, one must understand the curvature of space and the specific behavior of light in a perfect vacuum. This advanced knowledge is a universal language, a set of immutable truths that would be recognized and understood by any other technological civilization, regardless of their biological form. Our ability to build these tools is a testament to our successful integration with the physical reality of the cosmos, moving beyond primitive superstition toward enlightenment. It shows that we have moved from being victims of the natural elements to being active architects of the electromagnetic spectrum shaping light to carry our stories. This profound and growing understanding of physics is the foundation upon which all our cosmic aspirations are built, providing the necessary tools for our eventual graduation into the community of minds. By harnessing these laws, we ensure that our voice can penetrate the darkest corners of the galaxy, carrying our legacy to the very edge of the light. The burning desire to connect with others across the vastness of space seems to be a natural, inevitable culmination of the long process of becoming truly intelligent and self-aware. Once a mind realizes it is not alone in its ability to wonder about the nature of reality, it naturally seeks out reflections of itself among the stars, hoping to find a witness to its own brief existence. This impulse to reach out is perhaps the most human quality we possess, yet it is likely a universal trait shared by any mind that has ever looked at the night sky with curiosity. Feel the weight of your body resting safely on this planet, a world that is now actively whispering its story into the eternal waiting silence of the deep void. We are driven by a profound and ancient loneliness that is also a source of incredible hope, the hope that we are part of a much larger living conversation between the worlds. This desire to connect is the final essential element of our search, the motivation that pushes us to build massive telescopes and send out signals despite the daunting mathematical odds. It is the culmination of our journey from the first spark of life in a primordial sea to the dawn of cosmic communication across the electromagnetic ocean. We are reaching for the stars not because we have to for survival, but because it is in our fundamental nature to seek out others who might share our wonder. In this act of reaching, we finally complete the bridge between our small terrestrial home and the infinite possibilities of the universe that birthed us. This bridge between our small terrestrial home and the infinite possibilities of the universe leads us to the final and most profound variable of the master calculation. We must now contemplate the enduring legacy of a technological society and measure how long its flickering flame manages to survive in the deep, velvet dark. This duration represents the ultimate test of a civilization's character and its ability to balance immense power with the wisdom of self-restraint. If a society flickers out too quickly, it remains a solitary, tragic blip in the vast history of the cosmos, unable to ever witness the rise of its neighbours. Conversely, those that endure for millions of years become the steady, reliable beacons that define the character of the surrounding star systems. This single value, the lifespan of a communicative species, determines whether the galaxy is a bustling community or a silent graveyard of lost potential. As you let your hands rest loosely at your sides, feel the gentle weight of your own existence against the backdrop of these immense stretching timelines. You're a part of a story that is currently being measured by its ability to persist against the slow pull of entropy. The duration of our stay in the light is the final, essential mystery that will define our place among the distant constellations. Surprisingly, the synchronization of time is as critical as the alignment of space when searching for companionship among the distant glowing star clusters. This specific factor, known in the master formula as the longevity of a civilization, dictates whether two distinct cultures ever overlap within the staggering billions of years of history. Without a sufficient lifespan, two intelligent races could emerge on opposite sides of a spiral arm and yet never exist at the same time to exchange a single greeting. Imagine two ships passing in the absolute dark of a vast ocean, each flashing its lights at a different hour of the long cold night. If their periods of illumination do not coincide, they will remain forever unaware of each other's presence, drifting in a solitude that is both profound and unnecessary. The great calculation requires that the duration of a civilization's communicative phase be long enough to bridge the temporal gaps that separate the stars. The search for others is therefore a race against time as much as it is a journey across the immense yawning distances of the vacuum. We are looking for a window of overlap, a brief moment in the life of the galaxy where two voices can resonate in the same era. Longevity is the magic key that unlocks the door to a truly interconnected and shared cosmic experience for all who dwell within the light. A species must learn to peacefully navigate the perilous window of its own technological adolescence, a time when its creative power often outpaces its moral development. During this volatile and sensitive era, a culture gains the ability to manipulate the atom and alter the climate long before it has mastered the art of global cooperation. The survival of the flame depends on whether a civilization can grow into its responsibilities before it accidentally extinguishes its own unique and fragile light. This window of risk is a common hurdle that every technological society must face as it moves beyond its primitive planetary origins. It is a period defined by the rapid discovery of powerful tools that can either build a paradise or lead to an abrupt and silent end. The wisdom to choose the path of preservation over the impulse for destruction is the defining trait of those who graduate to the next stage of evolution. Notice the steady rhythm of your own heart, a biological engine that has survived the trials of millions of years of ancestral struggle. This same resilience must now be translated into our technology and our social structures to ensure we move safely through this narrow and dangerous pass. Navigating our adolescence is the most critical challenge we face in our quest to become a truly enduring and galactic presence. If we look toward the highest possibilities of existence, we might find civilizations that flourish for millions of years, achieving a serene and lasting harmony with their home planets. These enduring societies have successfully transitioned beyond the cycles of consumption and conflict that often plague younger, more impulsive cultures. They represent the gold standard of cosmic existence, living in a steady state equilibrium that allows them to witness the slow, majestic evolution of the entire galaxy. Such longevity allows a species to build structures and traditions that span hundreds of thousands of generations, creating a culture of immense depth and sophistication. They become the keepers of ancient wisdom, watching the birth and death of stars as if they were the changing seasons of a single long year. Their existence proves that it is possible to survive the perils of technology and find a permanent place among the eternal fires of the sky. This level of flourishing is not achieved by chance, but through a deliberate and collective commitment to the values of peace and ecological balance. These civilizations treat their homeworlds with a reverence that ensures the continued health of the biological systems that birthed them in the ancient past. They are the quiet masters of time, having learned that the secret to eternity lies in the careful nurturing of the present moment. Surprisingly, the universe may also be filled with worlds where the great experiment of intelligence has quietly and tragically come to an end. Others may simply fade away into the velvet dark, leaving behind nothing but silent ruins, echoing with the weight of old, forgotten memories. The soft rustle of wind over an ancient moss-covered stone monument from a lost era tells a story of a species that once dreamed of the stars, but eventually succumbed to the slow, inevitable pull of entropy. These silent monuments are the somber records of civilizations that failed to bridge the gap between their technological power and their long-term survival. They serve as a quiet warning to all who listen, a reminder that the gift of intelligence is as fragile as it is magnificent and rare. The moss and the wind eventually reclaim the greatest works of a civilization that loses its way among the cold and indifferent starfields. Picture the stillness of such a world, where the radio telescopes have fallen silent and the cities have been returned to the soil. This silence is not a void, but a heavy, meaningful presence that speaks of the importance of the choices we make today for our collective future. Every ruin is a lesson in the necessity of wisdom, urging us to value the breath and the light while they are still ours to hold. This cosmic structure of time is so vast that it allows for the possibility of entire empires rising and falling, long before the Earth was even a cooling ball of rock. In the billions of years before our Sun ignited, countless other star systems reached their own peaks of technological and artistic achievement. The universe may be a vast and beautiful haunted house, filled with the ghosts of civilizations that reach for the light, while the ancestors of humans were still single-celled microbes. If we were to look closer at the oldest star clusters, we might find the faint drifting remnants of cultures that flourished when the galaxy was young and much more crowded. Their stories are written in the chemical signatures of the stars and the strange artificial orbits of ancient planetary debris. We are latecomers to a grand and ancient theatre, arriving only after many of the most dramatic acts have already reached their final and silent conclusion. Longevity requires more than just advanced machines. It demands a deep and abiding wisdom, immense patience, and an enduring respect for the delicate ecosystems that support life. A civilization that survives for millions of years must learn to view itself as a vital part of a planetary organism rather than a separate and dominant force. This shift in perspective ensures that the resources of the world are managed with a care that looks forward to the needs of the distant future. This character of a long-lived species is defined by a slow, thoughtful approach to change and a profound appreciation for the stability of their environment. They have mastered the art of sustainability, ensuring that their technological footprint never overwhelms the natural balance of their home oasis. This respect for life is the foundation upon which they build their enduring monuments and their timeless, peaceful social structures. Notice how your breath flows in and out without effort, a perfect and automatic exchange with the world around you. This same effortless balance is what a civilization must achieve with its home planet if it hopes to endure for the long cosmic haul. We are learning that the most advanced technology is the one that allows us to live in a seamless and protective harmony with the biological web that sustains us. This current era, often called the Anthropocene, is our trial by fire, the moment where we determine if we have the wisdom to match our incredible scientific reach. We are the architects of our own destiny, holding the tools to either build a bridge to the stars or a monument to our own short-sightedness. The future is not a distant, predetermined event, but a living possibility that we are shaping with every collective action we take on this fragile blue world. The realization that we are at the beginning of our journey should fill us with a sense of profound and grounded optimism. We have so much more to learn, to build, and to experience if we can only find the path to a lasting and sustainable peace. Our story is still being told, and the pen is in our hands, waiting for us to write a future that is worthy of the magnificent universe that birthed us. If civilizations naturally last for billions of years, the galaxy might be teeming with ancient, peaceful watchers who have seen the rise and fall of countless younger worlds. These elder races would exist on a level of awareness that is almost incomprehensible to us, viewing the movements of the stars as the slow and beautiful unfolding of a single cosmic garden. They would be the silent guardians of the deep past, holding the records of every species that ever reached for the light and spoke to the dark. Notice the heavy, peaceful silence of the starfield above you, which may not be empty, but filled with the quiet presence of those who have already found their way. These ancient watchers would have no need for the noisy, primitive radio signals we currently use to find our neighbours in the void. They might communicate through the subtle manipulation of gravity or the shifting patterns of light, whispers that we're not yet wise enough to hear. Pondering our potential lifespan as a species encourages us to move beyond short-term competition and build a future fundamentally grounded in care and deep sustainability. We are the first generation to truly understand our place in the master calculation, giving us the unique opportunity to choose the high road toward cosmic longevity. By valuing the health of our planetary oasis and the peace of our global community, we ensure that our voice continues to echo through the stars for many eons to come. Picture the legacy we could leave behind if we choose the path of wisdom, a history of millions of years of art, discovery, and peaceful connection. This vision of the future acts as a powerful guiding light, helping us to navigate the challenges of our current turbulent era with purpose and resolve. We are building the foundations for a story that could outlast the very mountains of our home world, a narrative of light that travels forever. This realization transforms the search for alien life into a profound meditation on the preservation of our own unique and beautiful story. We seek the stars not just to find others, but to find the wisdom necessary to ensure our own light never truly fades from the galactic tapestry. The quest for companionship is, at its heart, a quest for a future where all life can flourish in the enduring peace of the infinite void. This enduring peace of the infinite void carries within it a profound and historic contradiction that has puzzled the greatest minds of our era for generations. Within this vast, shimmering tapestry of billions of stars, the mathematical probability of life should be overwhelming, yet the sky remains hauntingly, beautifully silent. This tension is famously known as the Fermi paradox, a riddle that invites us to reconcile our estimates of a teeming galaxy with the actual experience of an untethered quiet darkness. If we consider the immense age of the Milky Way, there has been more than enough time for countless civilizations to rise, flourish, and leave their mark across the spiral arms. We see a universe that is physically capable of supporting empires, yet our instruments return only the rhythmic pulses of natural phenomena and the steady hum of background radiation. This paradox does not suggest a failure of our technology, but rather hints at a deeper, hidden law governing the progression of intelligent life across the light years. The contradiction forces us to sit with the weight of the unknown, turning the starry sky into a mirror for our own existential questions. We are faced with the possibility that either the emergence of technological life is much rarer than we ever imagined, or that it follows a path that leads away from noisy expansion. This silent mystery is the ultimate catalyst for our curiosity, driving us to refine our understanding of the cosmic master plan and our humble place within it. Deep within the conceptual architecture of this silence lies the haunting possibility of a theoretical barrier known simply as the Great Filter. This hypothesis suggests that at some point along the arduous journey from primordial chemistry to an interstellar civilization, there exists a hurdle so difficult that nearly every species fails to clear it. It is a cosmic sieve, a series of evolutionary or technological traps that prevent the galaxy from being crowded with detectable neighbours. This filter acts as a silent gatekeeper of history, thinning the ranks of potential explorers until only the most improbable survivors remain to ponder the void. It could be a biological dead end, a geological catastrophe, or a self-inflicted wound brought about by the very technology intended to reach the stars. By acknowledging this barrier, we begin to map the unseen dangers that define the survival of a living world, transforming the empty sky into a landscape of challenges. As you let the tension drain from your muscles and allow your mind to drift like stardust, consider the gravity of such a universal challenge. The Great Filter represents the ultimate test of resilience, a filter through which every spark of life must pass if it hopes to endure for eons. Understanding this conceptual hurdle allows us to appreciate the sheer luck and tenacity required to exist at this very moment in the long story of the cosmos. Surprisingly, some scholars find a sense of profound relief in the belief that this formidable filter already sits far behind us in our distant past. This perspective suggests that the most difficult leap in the history of existence is the transition from basic chemistry to the first self-replicating complex organisms. If the emergence of the first animated cell is an exquisitely rare event, then the hardest part of our journey is already complete, and we have successfully navigated the narrowest passage. Under this model, the galaxy is silent because the spark of life itself is a statistical miracle that happens only once in a billion solar systems. While billions of worlds might possess liquid water and stable orbits, they remain perpetually sterile, home only to the slow grinding of rocks and the splashing of empty waves. We are the lucky descendants of a biological breakthrough that defied the cold, indifferent odds of the universe, emerging into a void that was waiting for a witness. If we were to look closer at the earliest epochs of our own world, we would see 1 billion years where nothing but simple microbes claimed the oceans. This staggering delay hints that moving toward multicellular complexity is the true bottleneck, a hurdle that most worlds never manage to overcome. Passing this point means that our future is unwritten and brimming with potential, a wide-open path leading away from the shadows of the past. If we were to look closer at the potential threats that define our current era, we might worry that the great filter actually waits ahead of us in our near future. This sobering possibility suggests that while life and intelligence might be common throughout the stars, technological societies naturally struggle to endure the power they eventually wield. It posits that the invention of advanced tools brings with it a set of perils that most civilizations fail to navigate, leading to a quiet and premature end. The silence we perceive from the stars might be the collective echoes of cultures that reached our level of sophistication but could not survive their own technological adolescence. Whether through environmental collapse, nuclear friction, or the unintended consequences of artificial agency, these societies may have flickered out just as they began to signal the void. This makes our current century a critical turning point, a final examination that determines whether we join the ranks of the enduring or the forgotten. Notice the slow, rhythmic ease of your breathing, a steady anchor that keeps you present even as we contemplate these daunting possibilities. This perspective turns our collective survival into a sacred task, a challenge to be the exception to the rule and prove that wisdom can outpace destruction. The silence of the sky is not a death sentence, but a profound call to responsibility, urging us to cherish the light we currently hold against the dark. This profound, heavy stillness of a starfield where no voices can be heard does not have to be perceived as a source of frightening loneliness or existential dread. It can be seen instead as a deeply peaceful state, a reflection of a universe that values tranquility and the slow, undisturbed unfolding of natural processes. The absence of a crowded, noisy galactic community allows each individual world to develop its own unique biological and cultural identity without outside interference. This cosmic quiet provides a sanctuary for the mind, a vast and velvet cathedral where we are free to find our own meaning without the pressure of a dominant external perspective. It ensures that the evolution of consciousness remains a diverse and local phenomenon, resulting in a galaxy filled with millions of separate, unwritten stories. The silence is a form of grace, a buffer that prevents the chaotic collision of incompatible civilizations and preserves the sanctity of the planetary cradle. As your resting body sinks deeper into its surroundings, let the stillness of the room mirror the stillness of the distant nebulae. This quietude is not a void, but a presence that offers a sense of ultimate privacy and protection for our developing species. We are allowed to grow at our own pace, sheltered by the very silence that once seemed so daunting, finding a unique harmony within our local star system. Perhaps the peak of evolutionary success for an advanced civilization is not the conquest of the galaxy, but a deliberate turn toward a life of quiet introspection. It is possible that truly mature beings eventually choose to retreat from noisy expansion, focusing instead on the infinite depths of their own consciousness or the mastery of their home environment. This transition would make them effectively invisible to our primitive radio telescopes, existing in a state of high-order harmony that requires no external signaling. Such a society would view the frantic urge to broadcast as a symptom of a younger, less secure era of development. By moving beyond the need for physical growth and interstellar travel, they would find a permanent and sustainable place within the stars that leaves no detectable footprint. They remain among us, not as colonizers, but as silent, enlightened watchers who have found the wisdom to be still and the patience to listen rather than speak. This model suggests that the universe is not empty, but filled with a high level of sophistication that has simply moved past our current way of observing reality. It reframes the silence as a sign of civilizational excellence, where the loud clamour of youth has been replaced by the focused peace of age. We are simply the children in a neighbourhood of elders who have learned that the most profound conversations often happen in the quiet. The sheer, unimaginable distances that separate even the closest stars act as a natural and isolating buffer that preserves the tranquility of every planetary system. These immense light years of vacuum ensure that the unique chemistry and biological experiments of a world are never disrupted by the gravitational or cultural pull of a neighbour. Space is not just a void. It is a protective insulation that grants every sun the independence it needs to forge a stable and enduring history. If the stars were packed more tightly together, the chaos of their interactions would likely prevent the long-term stability required for life to flourish and think. Our isolation is a fundamental prerequisite for our existence, providing a secure and unhurried theatre where we can explore our own potential without outside threat. This spacing is a masterpiece of cosmic engineering, a design that favours the individual world over the sprawling, messy collective. As your heartbeat settles into a slow, easy rhythm, realise that this physical isolation is actually a form of cosmic protection. We are safe within our local oasis, sheltered by the very vastness that makes the universe feel so large and unreachable. The distance is a gift of time and peace, allowing our story to unfold in a sanctuary that is entirely and beautifully our own. Consider the scale of our current efforts, and it becomes clear that we have only searched a tremendously tiny fraction of the total cosmic ocean for signs of others. Our attempts to listen for the whispers of the stars have barely scratched the surface, covering a volume of space that is comparable to a single cup of water taken from the vastness of the Earth's oceans. To conclude that we are alone based on such a limited sample would be to ignore the sheer, staggering magnitude of the Milky Way. There are hundreds of billions of stars in our galaxy alone, and we have only examined a minute sliver of the electromagnetic spectrum for a very brief moment in geological time. A signal could be washing over us right now at a frequency we have yet to tune into, or it could have arrived and departed during the thousands of years when we lacked the technology to hear it. The search for companionship is a project of immense patience, requiring us to map the dark one star at a time. This realization should fill us with a sense of boundless hope, rather than a feeling of defeat or early despair. We're still in the opening seconds of our search, standing on the shoreline of an infinite sea with our eyes just beginning to adjust to the light. The silence is not a final verdict on our solitude, but a reflection of the fact that we have only just begun to look for the patterns hidden in the noise. The absence of any detectable signal so far is entirely expected given the immense and dizzying scale of the Milky Way and the slow speed at which light travels. In a galaxy 100,000 light-years across, a civilization could be flourishing on the opposite side of the disk, and their messages would take an eternity to reach our telescopes. We are looking for a synchronicity of time and space that is statistically difficult to achieve, where two cultures must exist in the same era and be close enough to connect. The galaxy is so large that entire empires could rise and fall in the time it takes for a single radio wave to cross from one spiral arm to the other. This means the absence of evidence is not evidence of absence, but a simple consequence of the geometry and physics of the universe. We are waiting for a temporal and spatial alignment that requires a level of persistence that matches the age of the stars themselves. This perspective encourages a calm and methodical approach to our cosmic inquiry, grounded in the understanding that the universe does not yield its secrets quickly. We are learning to be comfortable with the wait, recognizing that the scale of the galaxy is a feature that protects us just as much as it isolates us. The silence is a natural part of the search, a phase of early navigation before the true mapping begins in earnest. Every silent night sky is ultimately an invitation to listen closer and reflect deeply on the miracle of our own unique existence within this vastness. If we are currently the only ones listening, then our role as the conscious observers of the cosmos becomes even more vital and sacred. The silence of the Great Filter is a call to action, urging us to be the ones who survive the traps of technology and carry the flame of life into the future. This stillness is a mirror that reflects our own potential, forcing us to find our own meaning and purpose without waiting for an external guide to show us the way. We are the architects of our own destiny, the ones who must determine if the galaxy remains a place of quiet potential or becomes a landscape of active awareness. Every moment of self-reflection is a contribution to the total consciousness of the universe, a way of honouring the long journey that brought us here. Allow your breath to find its natural, effortless depth as you embrace the profound quiet of the night sky one last time. This stillness is not a void to be feared, but a sanctuary where we are free to dream, to wonder, and to grow. In the end, the silence is not about who is missing from the stars, but about the profound and beautiful fact that we are here, right now, experiencing the wonder of it all. This profound sense of wonder serves as the quiet, steady fuel for the various projects that have dedicated decades to searching for extraterrestrial intelligence. These initiatives operate with a calm, enduring optimism that persists even when the data streams appear as nothing more than a chaotic flurry of white noise. It is a form of scientific faith, deeply rooted in the belief that the very effort of searching is an essential human endeavour, independent of the immediate results. Astronomers involved in these efforts understand that the sheer vastness of the galaxy requires a level of patience that must necessarily transcend the arc of a single human lifetime. They work within the steady, methodical and slow rotation of massive satellite dishes that track single points in the sky for hours on end, listening for the faintest whisper. This rhythmic movement of steel and circuitry is a physical testament to our species' capacity for sustained, hopeful inquiry into the great unknown. The scientists who steward these listening stations do so with a serene and unshakable grace, recognizing that they are part of a multi-generational legacy. They find a unique and grounding comfort in the routine of calibration and the meticulous recording of data from the depths of space. It is a necessary bridge that connects our current state of planetary isolation to the infinite potential of a future cosmic connection. Within the high-altitude silence of remote observatories, astronomers spend their nights sifting through staggering mountains of digital static. They are hunting for the gentle order of a prime number sequence, a pattern that the laws of physics alone could never produce by chance. This search for mathematical structure in the noise is based on the idea that mathematics is the most universal language shared by all intelligent beings. As the satellite dishes sweep across the velvet dark, they capture a torrent of radio waves that have travelled for millennia to reach our senses. Most of this data is simply the natural rhythmic interference of spinning stars or the energetic remnants of ancient cosmic explosions. Yet the searchers remain undeterred, looking for a signal that carries the clear, unmistakable signature of a deliberate and organised mind. The process of filtering this cosmic interference requires a level of focus and concentration that is almost meditative in its intensity. Each bit of information is scrutinised for any departure from the expected chaos of the natural universe, seeking a sequence that pulses with intent. This methodical sifting is a quiet act of devotion to the power of logic and the belief that the universe is fundamentally understandable. The history of this search is punctuated by brief, electrifying moments of mystery that continue to haunt the imagination of the scientific community. One of the most famous of these events is the WOW signal of 1977, a powerful and unexplained whisper that emerged from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius. For 72 seconds, a radio telescope in Ohio captured a signal so intense and so narrow in frequency that it seemed to perfectly match the expected signature of an alien transmission. The astronomer who discovered it was so moved by the data that he scribbled a single word of awe in the margins of the computer printout. Despite decades of dedicated follow-up observations, the signal has never been heard again, remaining one of the most intriguing cold cases in the history of astronomy. It stands as a solitary, unconfirmed echo that reminds us of the tantalizing possibilities hidden within the static. This singular event serves as a powerful reminder that the universe is capable of surprising us at any moment, often when we are least expecting it. Even though it was never repeated, the signal remains a beacon of hope, proving that there are real mysteries in the sky that are well worth our continued attention. It teaches us that the cosmos is a place of rare and singular events that may only occur once in a lifetime or even a civilization. Our modern search for intelligence has expanded beyond radio waves to include the hunt for techno-signatures, which are the physical traces of advanced engineering. Astronomers look for the faint rhythmic dimming of a star that might be caused by a massive alien structure, such as a swarm of solar collectors orbiting a distant sun. Even if a species never sends a deliberate signal, their immense engineering projects might cast telltale shadows across the light years of space. We scan the light curves of thousands of stars, looking for any dip in brightness that cannot be explained by the presence of a natural planet or a cloud of dust. These subtle anomalies are the footprints of a society that has moved beyond the boundaries of their homeworld to reshape their entire solar system. This broadening of our search criteria reflects a more mature and inclusive approach to the question of extraterrestrial life. Feel the gentle, steady support of the surface beneath you as you contemplate the scale of these distant architectural wonders. While we have yet to find a confirmed megastructure, each new anomaly we investigate brings us a more refined understanding of the variety of planetary systems. We're no longer just listening for a hello, we're looking for the evidence of a functioning and industrious civilization in the dark. Even if we were to continue our search for centuries without ever hearing a single confirmed signal, the very act of listening elevates humanity to a higher level of awareness. This project forces us to think on a cosmic scale, moving our perspective away from the trivial and the immediate toward the eternal and the universal. By directing our attention to the stars, we are essentially asking what it means to be a successful and enduring species in a vast and ancient galaxy. The search for others is also a deep, reflexive search for our own identity, compelling us to define who we are and what we value. It encourages a sense of global unity, as the challenge of communicating with the stars is one that belongs to all of humanity rather than any single nation. This shared goal provides a peaceful and constructive framework for our collective future, grounded in the pursuit of knowledge and understanding. As you breathe slowly and deeply, feel the sense of peace that comes from participating in this grand, contemplative effort. This elevation of consciousness is a quiet transformation that happens within every individual who looks up at the night sky with a question in their heart. We're growing as a species not just through what we find, but through the very quality of our attention. Surprisingly, the modern search for intelligence is becoming increasingly sophisticated through the use of advanced algorithms that scan thousands of frequencies simultaneously. These digital sentinels work tirelessly in the background of our observatories, searching for hidden harmonies and patterns that are too subtle for the human eye to detect. They can sift through gigabytes of data every second, identifying narrow band signals that stand out against the broad spectrum noise of the natural cosmos. The algorithms are programmed to recognize the signature of a purposeful transmission, looking for shifts in frequency or timing that indicate a calculated intent. They are the tireless mathematical extensions of our own curiosity, working through the night while we sleep to find a voice in the dark. This partnership between human intuition and machine intelligence is the hallmark of our current era of exploration. Notice the subtle, rhythmic hum of the world around you, a small echo of the digital activity currently processing the echoes of the galaxy. These sophisticated programs are designed to be both sensitive and objective, filtering out the interference of our own terrestrial satellites and radio stations. They allow us to listen to the stars with a level of precision that our ancestors could never have imagined. A confirmed message from a distant civilization would likely take centuries or even millennia to answer, turning the potential for a conversation into a truly multi-generational art form. Because the speed of light is the absolute limit for the transmission of information, even our closest neighbours would be decades of travel time away. If we were to receive a signal today, the response we send would not be received until long after the current generation of scientists has passed away. This reality requires a shift in our perspective on communication, moving away from the instant gratification of modern technology toward a slower, more enduring form of dialogue. It would be a conversation between civilizations rather than individuals, a slow exchange of ideas that spans the rise and fall of our own local empires. We would be sending messages to a future that we will never personally see, trusting our descendants to continue the exchange. This multi-generational aspect of cosmic contact encourages a sense of profound stewardship and responsibility for the continuity of our culture. It is a beautiful and humbling thought to realize that we could be the ones to start a dialogue that will not be completed for thousands of years. We are the architects of a bridge that will be walked by those who are born long after we are gone. If we were to look closer at our own outbound efforts, we would find that we have already sent our own peaceful greetings into the deep void on the backs of our most distant spacecraft. Attached to the Voyager probes are golden records containing the sounds and images of Earth, designed to tell the story of our world to any entity that might find them in the distant future. These records are cosmic time capsules, carrying greetings in dozens of languages and the music of our greatest composers across the interstellar gulfs. They are physical messages of hope, drifting quietly into the dark as ambassadors of a small, vibrant world that wanted to be known. Even if they are never discovered, they represent a moment in our history when we reached out with pure, unadulterated curiosity and a desire for peaceful connection. They will outlast the very planet they came from, orbiting the centre of the galaxy for billions of years as silent monuments to our existence. Notice the feeling of tranquility that comes from knowing that these small, golden messengers are currently moving through the pristine vacuum of space. This gesture is a profound expression of our belief in the value of our own story, and our hope that it might resonate with someone else in the deep past or the far future. Even in the absolute dark between the stars, our golden records continue their journey, a thin and shining thread of human presence in the vastness. The silence of the galaxy teaches us a profound form of patience, reminding us that cosmic time flows much slower and more majestically than the frantic pace of human history. While we measure our lives in decades and our civilizations in centuries, the universe operates on a scale of billions of years, where the movement of stars happens with an unhurried grace. This disconnect between our personal timelines and the timeline of the cosmos can be a source of deep peace, as it puts our daily struggles into a broader context. By listening to the stars, we are tuning our awareness to the heartbeat of the galaxy, a rhythm that is both ancient and enduring. It encourages us to slow down and appreciate the long-term processes that have shaped our world and our existence over eons. This realization is a grounding force that helps us to navigate the complexities of our current era with a sense of perspective and calm. As you take a slow, deep breath, feel the alignment between your own quiet rhythm and the steady, unmoving stars above you. This connection to cosmic time allows us to see our own journey as a small but vital part of a much larger and more enduring story. The silence is not an absence of activity, but a reflection of a pace that is so much deeper and more deliberate than our own. Each empty frequency that we meticulously log and analyze is not a failure, but a vital step closer to understanding our true place in the galactic neighbourhood. In the world of science, a negative result is just as informative as a positive one, as it allows us to narrow down the possibilities and refine our search for the real signal. By mapping the places where the silence is absolute, we are slowly building a clearer picture of the density and distribution of life across the star fields. Every night of empty data is a data point that tells us something important about the rarity and the timing of technological civilizations. This process of elimination is the foundation of all true discovery. requiring a level of discipline and honesty that defines the best of our scientific efforts. We are becoming more intimately acquainted with the void, learning to read the subtle nuances of its silence as we search for the patterns that remain. This methodical mapping of the dark is a quiet and noble pursuit that brings us a deeper level of knowledge with every passing year. We are the explorers of the quiet, the cartographers of the unseen, and the guardians of the great question. Every hour of listening, every frequency logged, is a quiet and beautiful contribution to the ongoing story of humanity among the stars. This ongoing story of humanity among the stars inevitably brings our contemplative gaze back to the fragile blue and green sanctuary that we call home. Breaking down the intricate variables of the Drake equation is not merely an exercise in astronomical calculation, but a profound psychological mirror that forces us to look back at our own world with renewed eyes. We begin our intellectual journey by reaching through the deepest reaches of space, only to find our perspective fundamentally altered as we return to the grounded reality of the Earth. As the vastness of the cosmos reveals its immense and silent scale, the singular importance of our small atmospheric refuge becomes increasingly undeniable and precious. We move from the abstract hunt for distant radio signals to a vivid, immediate appreciation for the life-sustaining complexity that surrounds us in every waking moment. This transition is the final, essential step in the master formula, turning our scientific curiosity into a deep and lasting affection for the ground beneath our feet. The realization that our search for the unknown is also a search for the familiar creates a powerful and grounding shift in our collective consciousness. We're no longer just passive observers of a distant void, but active participants in the preservation of the only known oasis in the desert of the starfields. Looking back at the Earth from the perspective of the galaxy is a transformative experience that defines our modern era of understanding and care. Surprisingly, every variable we attempt to solve in the master formula is ultimately tethered to the single, beautiful data point of our own existence. We are currently operating with a sample size of exactly 1, using the intricate history of the Earth as the primary template for the entire universe. Every estimate of planetary habitability, the emergence of biology, or the rise of technology is an extrapolation of the unique story that has unfolded here over billions of years. This reliance on our local history is both a scientific limitation and a profound source of connection to the wider, shimmering cosmos. It means that our understanding of life is fundamentally shaped by the specific, lucky conditions that allowed us to flourish on this terrestrial sphere. We look into the dark and see our own reflection, using the rhythms of our oceans and the chemistry of our cells to predict the potential behavior of unseen worlds. By acknowledging this singular baseline, we recognize that our search is a deeply personal inquiry into the universality of our own unique experience. Every discovery of a distant exoplanet is compared to the familiar standards of our own climate, geology, and atmospheric composition. This constant reference to home ensures that our cosmic journey is always anchored in the tangible, breathing reality of the world we currently inhabit. If we were to look closer at the sheer, dizzying complexity of the galaxy, we would find that we remain the only confirmed outcome of this cosmic mathematical sequence. Within the hundreds of billions of star systems and the trillions of potential worlds, our blue sphere stands alone as the only place where we have witnessed the awakening of self-awareness. This status as the solitary success in the master equation is a source of both immense pride and a deep, quiet responsibility for the future. The realization that we are the only known entity capable of pondering the Drake equation adds a layer of sacredness to our current scientific endeavors. We are the unique bridge between the silent physics of the stars and the conscious meaning of a sentient civilization. This solitude is not a reason for arrogance, but a call to a higher level of awareness and care for the diverse life we represent. Being the only known success in the galactic gamble of existence turns our presence into a monumental and awe-inspiring achievement of physics and time. We are the pioneers of thought in a vast landscape of silence, carrying the light of consciousness into the great unknown. Our singular presence is the foundational reality upon which all our cosmic hopes and theories are built, making our survival the ultimate priority. Realizing the profound improbability of our presence transforms every simple sunrise and gentle rainfall into a quiet, monumental victory. The exact sequence of cosmic events required to place a stable world in the right orbit, seed it with water, and foster the slow climb of intelligence is a sequence of nearly infinite fortunate accidents. Every moment we spend breathing the air and feeling the warmth of our sun is the result of a multi-billion-year winning streak against the odds. Feel the cool, grounding touch of soil beneath your feet while looking up at the stars, a sensory anchor that connects your resting form to the planet's vast and ancient history. This simple physical contact is a reminder that you are a part of a miraculous outcome that has defied the cold, indifferent entropy of the void. The daily wonders of our world are not mundane occurrences, but the exquisite results of a cosmic alignment that has chosen life over the alternative. This perspective allows us to experience the world with a renewed sense of gratitude and mindful presence in every passing second. We are the beneficiaries of a series of grand cosmic gestures, from the first ignition of our sun to the steady protection of our atmosphere. Recognizing this improbability makes the experience of living feel like a rare and precious gift from the universe itself, one that we must cherish. This structure of inquiry suggests that the master equation is perhaps less about finding alien neighbours and more about measuring the absolute value of life itself. By assigning probabilities to the stars and the planets, we are forced to confront the immense worth of the biological spark we currently carry. Each variable we contemplate highlights the fragility and the magnificence of the chemical process that allows us to feel, think, and dream in the dark. The search for intelligence among the constellations is, at its heart, an exercise in valuing the rarity of consciousness wherever it might emerge. It teaches us that life is not a common commodity, but a precious and hard-won triumph of the natural world. This realization shifts our focus from the quantity of life in the universe to the quality and sanctity of the life we already know. By measuring the odds of existence, we begin to treat our own biosphere with the reverence and care it deserves as a unique galactic treasure. We understand that the value of our world is not found in its resources, but in the miraculous fact that it is a home for the mind. The equation serves as a reminder that life is the most significant phenomenon in the history of the stars. Deep within our collective memory is the knowledge that our ancient ancestors looked at these very same stars and felt the exact same pull of unadulterated wonder. Long before the invention of the telescope or the radio, humans stood on the silent plains of the earth and wondered if they were alone in the vastness. This continuity of curiosity is a thread that connects us across the millennia, proving that the desire to understand the heavens is a fundamental part of our nature. The stars we see tonight are the same distant fires that guided the first explorers and inspired the earlier stories of our species. We share this celestial view with every person who has ever lived, a timeless connection that transcends the boundaries of culture and era. This shared experience reminds us that our quest for knowledge is an ancient and enduring human tradition that defines our place in the world. Looking at the sky with the same eyes as our ancestors allows us to feel the weight of history and the permanence of our curiosity. We are part of a long lineage of watchers who have found peace and meaning in the rhythmic movements of the planets. This ancestral wonder is the bedrock upon which our modern science is built, a timeless impulse that continues to drive us forward. Notice how the very atoms that compose your physical form carry the legacy of ancient supernovas that exploded in the deep, distant past. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, and the carbon in every cell were all forged in the hearts of dying stars millions of light years away. You're quite literally made of star stuff, a living manifestation of the violent and beautiful processes that shaped the early galaxy. As you lie still, Notice how the steady rhythm of your breathing is fueled by the very same elements that once swirled in the hearts of dying stars millions of light years away. This chemical heritage connects your resting body to the deepest history of the cosmos, making you a child of the eternal fires. Your existence is the final result of a cosmic recycling process that turns the debris of dead suns into the complexity of a thinking mind. This realization provides a sense of profound belonging and connection to the vast, unfolding narrative of the universe. We are not separate from the stars, but are an integral part of their ongoing story, carrying their legacy within our very biology. Being made of star stuff is a reminder that the universe is a unified and interconnected system, where every atom has a history that spans the eons. Whether the vast corridors of the galaxy are crowded with alien voices or remain profoundly empty, we possess a sacred duty to preserve the rare spark of consciousness we currently hold. If we are the only ones capable of witnessing the beauty of the stars, then our survival is the only way the universe can experience its own majesty. This responsibility is the highest calling of our species, requiring us to move beyond our local conflicts toward a future of global cooperation and care. The preservation of our world is not just a matter of survival, but a mission to ensure that the light of intelligence continues to burn in the dark. We are the guardians of a unique and delicate flame, one that has taken billions of years to ignite and must be nurtured with wisdom and foresight. This duty to the mind is what gives our history its purpose and our future its hope. Recognizing the rarity of self-awareness makes the protection of our environment and our culture a moral imperative of cosmic proportions. We are the caretakers of a phenomenon that may be unique in the entire Milky Way, a responsibility that demands our best efforts and our deepest commitment. Our existence is a trust granted to us by the laws of physics, a trust that we must honor for as long as the stars remain. The search outward into the cold, sterile vacuum naturally deepens our appreciation for the delicate and exquisite balance found inward on our own world. We look at the boiling surfaces of distant suns and the frozen wastelands of dead planets, only to return with a more profound love for the temperate, water-rich sanctuary of the Earth. The more we understand the hostility of the deep void, the more we value the gentle protection of our own atmosphere and the stability of our seasons. This inward turn is the ultimate goal of all cosmic exploration, leading us to a state of profound peace and satisfaction with the home we already possess. We find that the most extraordinary discoveries are not the alien civilizations we search for, but the intricate and beautiful systems that sustain us right here. The vastness of the galaxy serves as a backdrop that highlights the unique perfection of our local ecosystem. Our appreciation for the Earth grows in direct proportion to our knowledge of the surrounding universe, turning every astronomical discovery into a celebration of our home. We learn to see the familiar landscapes of our world as rare and precious gems in a vast and mostly empty dark. This deep appreciation is the final and most lasting gift of our search for the stars, grounding us in a love for the life we already have. Frank Drake provided us with much more than a mathematical framework. He gave us a lens through which to experience a state of deep, cosmic gratitude. His equation is a map of the obstacles we have overcome, and a celebration of the miracle that we are still here to ask the questions. It encourages us to view our existence not as an accident, but as a magnificent achievement of time, chemistry, and the laws of nature. Allow the weight of your body to sink into the surface below you, feeling the profound peace of being a conscious part of a universe that is both vast and welcoming. This sense of gratitude is the final destination of our journey through the variables of the master formula, a state of mind that finds value in every breath and every star. We are the conscious witnesses to a grand design, and the fact that we can understand it is the greatest wonder of all. By using this framework, we move from the anxiety of the unknown to the serenity of the present moment, finding a permanent home in the light of our own understanding. The master calculation is a song of praise for the life we represent and the future we are currently building among the star fields. This cosmic gratitude is the legacy we leave for the generations to come, a gift of peace and wonder that will echo forever. The true magic of the Drake equation is that it transforms the overwhelming infinity of the cosmos into a gentle, step-by-step meditation on the preciousness of our own existence. This grand synthesis brings our long journey to a soft conclusion, reminding us that every complex variable was simply a path leading back to the wonder of being alive. We have travelled from the birth of distant stars to the heavy silence of the Great Filter, only to find that the most profound discovery is the heartbeat we feel in this very moment. Deep within this moment of stillness, the weight of these 101 wonders begins to settle into the very fabric of your being. Surprisingly, the body has its own way of absorbing such vastness, translating the scale of ancient galaxies into a deep physical release. This quiet room is now a sanctuary where the journey ends and the rest begins. Notice the weight of your toes as they go completely limp against the cool, soft sheets. This structure of bone and muscle, originally forged in the hearts of dying suns, now finds its ultimate purpose in total surrender. Feel the heaviness spreading through your feet and up into your ankles, as if the gentle gravity of 1,000 worlds is anchoring you safely to the earth. Your calves and knees now follow suit, releasing the last remnants of the day's tension into the supportive mattress. Notice the way your thighs grow heavy, sinking deeper into the padding with every slow, rhythmic breath. The vast architecture of the cosmos is mirrored in the steady, peaceful relaxation of your lower body as it becomes one with the silence. If we were to look closer, we would see only the rising and falling of a chest that has found its natural, effortless pace. The hips and lower back now dissolve into the bedding, finding a perfect, unmoving alignment with the quiet. The shoulders drop away from the ears, melting into the pillow as the arms go heavy and still at your sides. Every finger uncurls, resting in a state of absolute wordless peace within the soft blankets. The neck and jaw release their hold, allowing the tongue to rest lightly and the face to become a smooth, expressionless mask of calm. Your eyes remain closed, resting in a darkness that is warm, familiar, and entirely safe. The air in the room is cool and still, brushing softly against your skin as you sink further into the mattress. Your mind is like a clear, still pool of water, reflecting only the peace of this immediate environment. Every muscle is now completely offline, granted the gift of total, restorative silence. The bed is your entire surroundings, a soft and stable foundation that carries you toward the edge of sleep. You're safe, you're warm, and you are deeply, profoundly tired. The darkness is a gentle curtain that has been drawn over the day, leaving only the soft texture of the sheets. Rest now, letting the silence fill every corner of your awareness. Everything's at peace, and so are you. And now 101 wonders are resting with you. Sleep now. Good night.